live. If you just pull that up and we are live.
Hello, everybody. Hello out there in Radio Land. Welcome to CommuniTEA Chat. I'm your host, Neandra Etienne. My co-host today is Shofa. You want to wave and say hello?
Hi, everybody.
And this afternoon, we are going to be having an hour of sports and arts and culture. So I'll just tell you a bit about myself. I am the arts and culture editor and also the chief reporter for New Voices. I'm also a arts and culture producer. So I'm the creative director for 4 New Heritage plaques. I've done one for Jack Leslie, Jimi Hendrix, Alexander McQueen, and the BB Crew. And I also collaborated on another plaque for the New and Black Performing and Visual Arts Workshop with a reference group. And so that's a bit about me. I'm also a stakeholder in the Hendrix mural, which is just on Wood Grange Road, which is it's not far from where the studio is based. So Shofa, do you want to tell us a bit about you?
Oh, thanks, Neandra. And it's always such a joy to hear your portfolio of work. It's incredible. And most recently, the Jimi Hendrix work, it's just brightened up that part of Forest Gate, especially now when the sun kind of shines.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
So I'm Shofa Mia. I've been a Neon resident for 23 years now. I wear a few hats. One of them, the main ones, is being one of the board of directors for the Neon Voices. And we've been writing articles. And I love getting young people to write articles, which we've supported over the years. And I run, I'm the founder of a mental wellbeing charity called Ashok's Vision International. And we hold a Saturday market outside Forest Gate Station, Wood Grange Market, where we do planting with young people to improve their mental well-being. And outside of that, I do work for a local authority with the youth and anything to do with the youth, mental health, and I love intersectional work. And another hidden thing about me is I've just started doing stand-up comedy.
What?
So, yeah.
Excuse me? We're going to have to circle back on that because I didn't know this.
I was on my fifth gig.
Excuse me?
One of them was in University of Queen Mary's.
What?
And 2 were in Hindi language, which isn't even my mother tongue.
Wow. How dare you say that to us live on air? Wow.
So looking forward to kind of this new phase of radio, and it's just such a privilege to be here on Revive. It's local, it's multicultural, and we've got some amazing guests in the room with us who we've already kind of got to meet, and exciting to kind of move forward with this hour.
Wow. Literally, you have literally just cleared the table with what I was going to say, because seriously, like I was just going to say, can we have a fun fact about you? But literally you just delivered. So that's amazing.
I say hashtag overnight comedian because I didn't know I was going to be doing comedy. I thought it was public speaking, but things got more and more serious, and I'm just like on a roll now. But enough about me.
Yeah, we're gonna, like I said, we are definitely gonna be circling back about this. Okay. So fun fact about me, I love vintage. As you can see, I kind of look a little bit like I'm a throwback from the 60s, hippie days. But I actually collect quirky mugs. Now, if you're on YouTube, you can probably see one of my mugs. It's a Cadbury's cream egg mug in the shape of an egg. And because it's Easter coming up. So this is one of my mugs. So if you're on YouTube, here you go, because it's CommuniTEA, as in the tea. So there you go. And so let's get on with the show. So the first half an hour is going to be sports. Now, I'm quite happy to put out there the results or any kind of achievements, grassroots, non-league. I'm quite happy to do that. But in the studio, we have with us Clapton CFC. Make sure we get that right. And we have Sukhdev with us today. So Sukhdev, do you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself?
I should have really gone first for kind of what I do, because I have very little to say other than...
No, don't say that. No, I'm sure you have lots to say.
I'm involved with kind of Clapton Community FC. I'm a member. I've been a member from day one. I was born, raised and schooled in Forest Gate, so in the area, and I was probably dog, the pub and the ground has been quite familiar to me. I also wear a different kind of hat, not the day job. I won't mention the day job, but I'm also a trustee of the Old Spotted Dog Ground Trust, which is designed. I mean, we can get into this when we can discuss things, but it's designed to ensure that the ground is used for community use rather than just simply for football. I mean, it's kind of odd that we're in a kind of a sports sector, but perhaps it's much more.
Absolutely. That's when I say sports, sports is the main theme, but it's just an umbrella to everything else. So, for example, Clapton is hugely involved in the community, which is why I really wanted to give a platform for organisations like Clapton for the audience to be able to know that it's not just about sport. There's some aspect of Clapton Clapton CFC that you can support, whether it's the sport aspect or whether it's the community aspect. Can I just circle back about you? So you was born in Newham. You was born around here.
No, I actually was born in Forest Gate, but not in Newham.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the quirks of boundary kind of changes is that although my father went to register my birth at West Ham, because you're in Forest Gate and obviously you got to be registered in Forest Gate, the boundaries were redrawn. So I was actually born in the Forest Gate small part of Forest Gate that ended up as Waltham Forest. It wasn't Waltham Forest when I was born, but it became subsequently Waltham Forest. Round about where the Wanstead Tap is.
Okay. So how did you come about supporting Clapton CFC? Is it a case of you went to the ground? Was you a West Ham supporter and then decided to, suddenly start supporting Clapton CFC? How did you get involved? How did you get involved as a supporter first before you became a member?
To intersect this, it was very difficult. I mean, I'm 62. It's very difficult to be a West Ham supporter. For kind of a variety of kind of reasons, which it's probably for another.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
But yeah, I mean, it's not. The area was kind of great, but match days were always a bit tricky. How did I come about supporting Clapton? I did loads of things, and I'm interested in another football team. I followed them around and other things, but there was always this kind of emptiness in you about, I wanted to go to football. I wanted to support a football team that did more than just football and abuse kind of people. I wanted it to be inclusive. I wanted sport and politics to be mixed. I wanted kind of, if you wanted change, don't look at anybody else. You have to be part of that change. And if you're going to change things, you then have to evangelize that change. And that's what I wanted to do. I started with 2012 because I had changed jobs. I used to work around Egham in about 2010, 11, I changed jobs and I started working towards the east. And I had time, I had freedom. And I said, what's going on here? So I popped around to the Old Spotted Dog Ground and saw 5 people who were making kind of a noise. I mean, if you know anything about grassroots football, right? If you take 2 dogs in, you probably kind of double the audience.
Oh, bless.
Right? So it started off with kind of just a curiosity, and then you got more and more involved. You started to kind of talk to the people who were involved. They were a lot younger than me. And to understand that they wanted kind of football to not only have meaning, it was not only about price, it was about having meaning and being able to change things. And so they got involved, and then from there things kind of snowballed, let's say. We'd invite friends along, and then we'd kind of have kind of plans. We'd think about what we could do if we kind of had the ground and things like that. And that's where it kind of largely kind of snowballed. But it is kind of also based around kind of schisms, which I guess you'll come to a little later. But my interest comes around that I wanted meaning for football. I wanted to be able to walk into a ground where nobody's actually thinking, what's he doing here? Not based on anything you know about the person, but visually. And I also wanted to kind of place where it was, let's say, kind of, all this kind of left-wing stuff, but being reasonable, being anti-racist, anti-homophobic, pro-feminist. What's wrong with it? And that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, when you were, because I work with a lot of young people, and obviously things are very different in the footballing world now. And how old were you when you had all of these, kind of pioneering, innovative ideas about let's, make football more inclusive and be in a safe space? How old was it? What year was it?
Look, first of all, I'm not on my own. I do not claim any kind of uniqueness or kind of, in the singular. We did this as a collective. If I go back to kind of Clapton today, has approximately 1,500 members, and it's not a small organisation. There's 100 people who are active on a daily kind of basis on this. But we formed the football club, Clapton CommuniTEA FC, in Durning Hall, which will soon be gone.
Oh yeah, that's such a shame.
Which will need a blue plaque on there.
Oh, okay. Right. Note to self. Note to self.
Yes. In 2018, we were frustrated by the way things were going. There was a boycott going on with the team that played there previously, and it was just kind of a moment in time where we kind of reached a kind of point and said, look, we can't stand in the alleyway looking over the fence because we're boycotting because of the ownership of the facilities. We're going to have to do something ourselves. So what do you do? I mean, it wasn't me who suggested it. I mean, in fact, I was actually against having a new club, right? Because, if you're born and raised in Forest Gate, you only have kind of the one, you have kind of tunnel vision on this. Yeah. But, it was actually... Kevin Blow was involved in that, and there's a range of other people who decided, yes, we're going to set up a team. We're going to set up this team, and it's going to be not only fan-owned, it's going to be fan-run. There are going to be no boards of directors, no kind of leaders. We're going to make it as flat and as horizontal as we possibly can, so we learn about football. This is all kind of great.
Yeah.
But you've got to remember that we had no team, we had no manager.
Oh, wow. So what year was this? When was this roughly?
2018.
Okay.
We actually voted, I think, it's the struggle of memory against forgetting. I think around about kind of January. I don't know if you were involved in that, Colin, but it's about 2018. We met in Durning Hall, we voted. Do we want to set up our own football club? That was with support with the FSA, the Football Supporters Association, that actually helped us and guided us. But we didn't want just a fan-owned football club. We wanted fan-run. And there are lots of points that I'm proud of, but that's really important for me, that it doesn't matter what your background is, what the day job is. Just because you've got, say, accounting skills doesn't make you the club accountant. It's about kind of transferring kind of skills in a way that in an environment that is non-threatening and it's kind of accommodating different abilities.
That's really good. So what's your role within the club? What do you do?
Well, you do bits and pieces.
What do you mainly do?
What I do, I'm involved in merch. And that is, we've sold 21,000 shirts of our famous away shirt. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's in the colours of the International Brigades. I've been involved in merch, and that meant, in the first instance, with others, we had a competition in the membership. We roughly knew what the home shirt was going to look like, but we needed to know what the away shirt was going to look like. So we had a competition. What you do as a fan-owned, you say the fans design us a shirt. And then we voted on it. And then we kind of voted and voted and voted until we whittled it down to this one shirt. This one shirt was in the colours of the International Brigades because historically, in supporting the kind of club, there had been a group of people they used to come with a flag of the Second Spanish Republic. That is, if you're familiar with the Spanish Civil War and George Orwell, that's probably the best way to kind of link that. So there was a kind of an ethos underneath that, and then the shirt won by a country mile at the end. But people had the opportunity to say, well, yeah, I had a go and designed it. And then the rest is quite a kind of story. I'll kind of just skip it a little bit. I'll truncate it.
Yeah.
We produced 30 shirts from a producer in Italy, Raid Sport. It's the only anti-fascist shirt producer in the world.
In the world?
In the world. It's look, it's one person who had bought a sublimation kind of. He was going to try and reach out to progressive teams, and he would design their kits and produce them for them. This person was in Italy, in Caserta, in Italy. But we had kind of in our group, we had Italians who knew him and introduced us. And every penny that they made went back into a social centre, essentially a squat, which they occupy and they do up. So we produced 30, and on a balmy night, evening on an August 2018, we'd sold all 30.
Oh, that's amazing.
Of the home and the away, so 30 each.
Yeah.
And of course, there was a lot more people who wanted the shirts. And this was kind of quite a surprise. I was thinking, 30, one of you are going to have to take 20 of them home. Yeah. We've ended up, and I was late that day. And I thought I hadn't bought a shirt. And I was in a bit of a foul mood, right? But my friend had actually bought it from me. So but people kept moaning and moaning about, I didn't get a shirt. So we thought, what we'll do is we'll put them online. We'll just put them online and
see what happens. Yeah.
And then a miracle happened. The team played in that away shirt, the iconic shirt. It's an away shirt, not the home shirt. And somebody took a photograph that was subsequently tweeted out by an Irish journalist working in Spain.
Oh, hit the jackpot.
Right.
Hit the jackpot.
But we didn't know we'd hit the jackpot. There's a story is actually much more intertwined here. That is, the person who was looking at the website said, like, I don't know what's happened, but there's over 100 orders. I'm thinking, are you sure? And he said, no, it's 120 now, and it was going up in real time. And he was thinking, we've been hacked. Crikey,
no, starting to worry.
You've never done this before.
Yeah.
Online retailing is a new thing. And so then something kind of surreal happens. Then the sales keep going up. People are kind of tweeting, where can I get this shirt? And it's going. Truly, if we're looking at viral, I knew what
you went viral.
Not that I'm on Twitter or anything.
Yeah.
But they assured me that this was viral, and I go along with, if you don't know, then you go with, this is viral. And then PayPal intervened and blocked our account.
Oh, controversial.
Right. Well, yes and no.
Yes, controversial.
This group had set up a PayPal account, and for months they had done nothing. Then all of a sudden, they've got transactions of 30 quid and 20, it's 25 quid then. We weren't even registered for VAT.
Right.
And it's £25 here, 25 there, and it's coming from different kind of places. Come on.
Yeah.
If you're sitting on the other side,
absolutely.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
And it just so happens one of the members who was involved in kind of finance had to call up.
Got some advice.
And it just so happens, I think this is recollection, so I wouldn't want to be quoted on it, but I think the person who was on the other side from PayPal knew about the shirts.
Oh, wow. So
therefore, it was kind of really...
It was okay, you guys got...
And the shirts continued to sell. I mean, we opened the shirt sales in August. We stopped them in mid-September, and we had 5,000 sales.
Oh, that's amazing.
We blocked it.
That's
the sales.
Amazing.
We're thinking, how are we going to, first of all, how are we going to produce them?
That is amazing.
How are we going to post them? I mean, who's going to stand in the post office queue, right? And get beaten up by people who can't get their pensions and
waiting.
Right? And so between September and December, we closed our store. We had to clear the backlog. Once we cleared the backlog, I think it was around about January 18, 2019, we opened up the store again. and there was just a wave.
Oh, that's so good that you get so much community engagement and community support. Because I know that Clapton CFC also supports local organisations. I know one of them is the Magpie Project. So what other organisations do you support within Newham?
Well, I mean, I'll start back on the back front. I mean, obviously, kind of Magpie is kind of a long running and it's kind of deeper. We've also had COVID involved, etc. But we've been involved with kind of Aquaba, Aston Mansfield. But if I go back to the 26th, because I'm reaching out to the audience now, and I'm reaching out to everyone here. On the 26th, we have of April.
Okay.
It's our last men's home game of the season.
Okay.
That day, we will be doing a sign up for DKMS. DKMS is a stem cell registry. Stem cell donor registry, a bit like if you're familiar with Anthony Nolan.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that. We support DKMS. And that is kind of, we had that involvement before in I think it was 2019. And we had 100 sign-ups, and from there we've had 2 people who've been matches with people. They are genuine lifesavers.
Oh, that's
and
lovely.
you have one person who's been a recipient, not as a result of that, and that's me.
Oh,
right. So
breaking news, everybody! Sorry, I think I should explain.
It's old news. I mean,
but it's breaking news to us here.
So DKMS, we're going up for another sign-up. It's simple kind of swab of your mouth, all right? The chances of you being a match is the equivalent of throwing you out of a kind of plane in the Pacific Ocean and you run through kind of a lifeboat. I mean, it's 1 in 800. The likelihood is you'll never be contacted. Most people think, when they're donating kind of stem cells, it's out of the bone marrow. No, it's a bit like, it's actually truly like blood donation. Canada goes in, they take all the white stuff, the white cells that they need and put the rest of the blood back. That's what we're doing that. We're also on the 26th unveiling a memorial to the International Brigades volunteers who went from Newham or were born in Newham and fought in the Spanish Civil War. Right. We found so far 16 people with addresses, which again, if you want to start a kind of campaign, we're looking at kind of blue plugs of these people who went to fight not for a country, but for an idea. Right? So we'll be unveiling that. So we're involved in that, and we've been involved with the International Brigades right from the beginning because of the shirt and the heritage and what we've been involved with.
So that's really good. So I know that Clapton CFC, you've got quite a few teams within your club. So you've got your first team, you've got your reserves, you've got women's, you've got quite 5 sides, you've got the over 35s. I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about the teams that you've got within Clapton CFC?
I'll start this again from an obtuse kind of angle. We have more women's sides than we have men's sides.
Fantastic.
Quite unusual for a football team. We have 1 men's first team, we have a development side and an over 35s, which is overwhelmingly men, but it won't be exclusively. And from the women's side, we have a women's first team. They play at a higher level than all the other teams that we have. So the women's team's actually higher. They have a reserve team, they have a development team. We also have open access and beginners and non-binary. So we have loads of kind of teams. I mean, 18, 19 kind of teams of groups that are formed in, say, the open access, and they decide that they now have the confidence, and with the encouragement of the club and the coaches, they then say, we will run our own thing. So they remain in contact with Clapton, but they run separately from us. And that has been something that I'm really incredibly proud of. Because it's about attempting in a modest way to put right what was so wrong, because the FA banned women from playing.
I was just thinking that when you said you've got more women playing football, I was like, wow, because in my head I was thinking there was a time when women couldn't play football. I think up until the 70s, it was quite a long period of time. It was ridiculous.
And on that, I mean, it's particularly the way it arose, it's sometimes it's a quirk, but sometimes things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
There was a couple of people, but one of them tweeted. I mean, I'm not on Twitter or anything, so
Yeah.
I have to go by people telling me, recounting this. And we told, like, but this is kind of great, but you don't have a women's side. So we don't have a women's side. And said, well, I didn't say it because I wouldn't know how to tweet. But said, okay, yeah, we know, but will you help us? And they said, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And from there, that energy has come. What the club does is we will support you. I mean, we operate around committees. I mean, perhaps this will kind of help. It's no individual. There's no kind of champion. If you take somebody out of it, the whole thing kind of collapses. There's no rich individual. We're entirely fan-owned. You get one member, one vote, right? You renew every year your membership. So you can have £5 if you're down on your luck, retired, or just don't fancy paying anymore. £10 is a regular membership, and there's £20 solidarity.
So there's various ways that you can come and be a part of the team, come and support various methods. I just want to quickly...
sorry, Neandra, I forgot to mention, but I didn't actually. I was going to do it intentionally at the end.
Oh, okay.
We have what we call kind of the youth training kids. Come on a Tuesday or a Saturday down to the old
What time?
9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, and see the kids come.
Ages? What ages are going to be playing?
Between 6 and 12.
Okay.
Right? See, we've been growing organically. So people, when they become members, they can then say, well, actually, I'd like to do this. So they can actually suggest at the AGM, we want to set up a kind of committee, and we'd like to do this. Then the club members vote on this. And because you're now a committee, you'll be funded for it, obviously within the kind of the envelope of what we have. Yeah. And you'll be funded for this. And that's the way it works. Okay. And what we run is the youth training is pay what you can afford.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm just going to interject. Go to the website, Clapton CFC, on social media. I did want to kind of mention a little bit about the ground, because you're redeveloping that. But we're going to have to go for a break. So thank you very much for coming in and telling us more about Clapton CFC. And as I said, they're more than just a club and football club. They support the community. But like I said, you can be involved in any aspect, come to support them, check on their socials to find out what's going on. And after the break, we'll be switching to arts and culture. So you are tuned in to Revive FM 94.0, where the heart of Newham, the community beats. Thank you. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislation. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
तकरीबन 60 मिलियन प्राइमरी स्कूल जाने वाले बच्चे इस वक्त स्कूल में दाखिल नहीं हैं। मयारी तालीम की फराहमी से पसमानदा बच्चों
Let's connect with the Holy Quran. Minhaj Dawah Project distributes the Holy Quran in plain simple English for free. You can donate £3 and sponsor a Quran to a loved one, a neighbour, a colleague or a friend. We distribute Qurans totally free of charge across the whole UK, including in prisons. Please call us now to contribute on 0300 030 1951 or email us on dawah@minhajuk.org.
You can help keep children safe. Small actions make a big difference. Listen Up, Speak Up is something simple and powerful all of us can do. Maybe you're worried about something your child's seen on a group chat, or you've got a friend with a new baby who could use some support. Perhaps you feel like doing something good for your community. Created by the children's charity, the NSPCC, Listen Up, Speak Up gives tips and advice you can use to help. Whether you're a parent, friend, or neighbour, it's up to all of us to keep children safe. Find out more about how you can play your part. Search online for Listen Up, Speak Up.
Okay, hello, welcome back to Community Chat with your host, myself, Neandra, and Shofa. We are New Voices editorial team. And yes, as I said, you're listening to 5FM 94.0. So the first part we had was sports, and now we're going to switch to arts and culture. So for today is actually, I don't know if anyone knows, is World Parkinson's Day. So we have with us the English National Ballet, and we have Laura who's online, and in the studio we have with us Colin.
Hi.
As well.
I don't know why I wave. I'm on.
They can see you, so it's okay to wave. It's fine. It's good to wave. So, Colin, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, before I do, I listened to the earlier one. That's excellent. It's really, really good show. So I've not seen it before. Jack Leslie, the Jack Leslie story that you were involved in, I know about that as well because my good friends Greg Fox-Smith and Matt Tilley wrote the book, but that's another.
Yeah, we could circle back again.
Yeah, I'm here today because of this lady who's on the screen, English National Ballet. They're actually superb. A bit about me: I'm a criminal defence barrister. I was born in Tower Hamlets. I went to school for 2 years at Stratford Comprehensive, and now I've made the head of the arts of Redbridge, so I still live quite close. But I'm delighted to come on here today because it's World Parkinson's Day. But I really want to sing the praises of English National Ballet.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I looked at the briefing and they said, tell me a little fun fact. Well, I bought my first pair of ballet shoes.
What?
A couple of weeks ago. I was 60 years old.
Wait, you mean the proper ballet shoes where you tiptoe?
Not quite the blocks.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
The little soft ones, because we had a show and it was over at Colin and we had to wear what they call naked shoes. They're soft shoes. So that was my fun fact.
Okay, brilliant.
But I just wanted to thank the programme as well for inviting people with Parkinson's on, because it's so easy that it gets forgotten about.
Absolutely. So as I said, we've got Laura online. I'm just going to ask Laura to introduce herself and tell us a fun fact about you.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you again. I echo Colin's comments. Thank you for having us here today. So I'm Laura Harvey. I am Head of Creative Programmes at English National Ballet. I've been with the company actually for about 15 years now. So actually as long as the Dance for Parkinson's programme has been running at ENB. And I am responsible for looking after the programme, for working with our amazing participants, of which I'm so glad Colin is here with us today as well. We run 21 different programmes from engagement and dance health, and Dance for Parkinson's specifically is one of our flagship programmes. It's an evolution. The programme has grown over the years, and we just work with the most wonderful people. A little fun fact about myself, I once chose this to walk 100 kilometres from London to Brighton. It was for charity, so but the fact that I chose to do it, I think is the fun part.
Technical details here. How did the connection with the English ballet and the Parkinson's come about?
Okay, so back in 2010, well, a little before that actually, we had a visit from a company called the Mark Morris Dance Company, who are based out in Brooklyn in New York. They pioneered a program called Dance for PD, and they led this amazing workshop, which was focused on working with people living with Parkinson's. And as a national UK-based organisation, we just thought this is something that, you know, we need to do. So back then, there wasn't a lot of conversation around kind of creative health, particularly arts and health. And we decided that actually it was something that we wanted to develop. It was something that we wanted to come from the artistry of the company. So everything that Dance for Parkinson's is kind of comes from the artistic concept of English National Ballet, so all the different works we perform, both classical and contemporary. And at the time, we decided that actually evidence-based research was really important for the credibility of the work as well. So we teamed up with the University of Roehampton and Dr. Sarah Houston and Ashley McGill, who have done a lot of work in this area to really find out what people who are living with Parkinson's can get from dance classes and specifically from English National Ballet's classes. And it just really went from strength to strength. In 2012, we rolled out to a number of national hub organisations as well. So we now have classes in Liverpool, we have classes in Cardiff, Ipswich and Oxford. And following the pandemic, we also have an online offer too, as well as classes in West and our home in East London. So the 15 years, it's just, you know, really grown. And as Colin alluded to, we now have a Dance for Parkinson's performance company as well, because actually it's really important that we give, you know, credibility and artistic voice to those dancers who have a lot to say.
Bear with me, people. It's my first show.
You're doing great.
So how do people with Parkinson's deal with dancing? Is there a kind of special dance that they have to adapt to? How does that work?
So
yeah.
With the classes that EMB provide, they're very inclusive because you can either do it sitting down, you can actually do it in a wheelchair, you can do it standing up. And what is very inclusive about EMB now is that the tutors, the instructors, the volunteers include something for everyone. So there's a warm-up. So it's inclusive in that way. I mean, I call it moving in our own way. Sometimes I can't move because if I have a body freezing episode. But I feel safe in their environment because the people are very welcoming, they're non-judgmental. And that surprised me because I don't come from a traditional ballet background. My idea of the EMB was very elitist. It was for a certain class of persons. But to EMB's credit, and I say this, you know, very proud to be associated with them, they've opened it up to all of us, whether it be men, women, old, young, and they do it with Tara, Litz and Newham, young residents, people who can't afford it. EMB outreach program, their engagement program, their community, which is superb. So when we go out dancing, we will see all different members of the community there.
So how did you come about finding out about the English National Ballet? How did you get that connection?
I was at a boxing class for Parkinson's, because there's all different classes. And a guy called Alan Ferret, who's no longer with us, sadly, he was an EMB ambassador for dance. And he said, come along. And I started laughing. I said, what do I want to go dancing for? I'd rather box and so on. I suppose in a macho way. But I then got over that prejudice. And I thought, go. And it was brilliant. The people there listen, they don't judge. And it's world-class facilities. Doing ballet in Canning Town. Who would have ever thought of that?
Yeah, it's insane. Do you want to speak?
I was just going to say, Colin, because I was thinking that as you and Laura were talking about ballet and the industry and, you know, growing up, we never really got any exposure to it. Maybe you'd go on a school trip and to watch the Swan Lake or something, but again, that was quite special and only a few kids were allowed to go. And I guess when you think of Parkinson's, we think of obviously Muhammad Ali and, you know, his story. So it's just so refreshing to hear, you know, this a world of ballet opening up to everybody else. So thank you for sharing that, and it's important to know how kind of to get involved and
dance is for all of us. You know, it's about movement, it's about taking part. We have live music there, and to hear a beat of the song, you know, you actually start moving, and it's absolutely fabulous. And what really encouraged me was that when I went and I saw brown faces, I saw black faces. You know, you don't. I wasn't expecting that. Maybe that's my own prejudice. But it's a real, particularly with the youngsters in Tehran, it's a lot can tell me more about that. They've got a really good reach out program.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so Laura, I'm just going to bring you in. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what, expand on what Colin was saying?
Yeah, of course. I mean, English National Ballet's whole remit is about taking ballet to the widest possible audience. So we're based in East London, we tour nationally, we tour internationally as well. And I think the breadth of our engagement programs really encourages, you know, those first interactions, encouraging dance as something that's like a lifelong learning. So we recently presented a show called Replay that we do yearly. Our youngest dancer was 8. Our oldest dancer, I think, was something like 83. So there was over 70 years between those dancers all presenting on the same stage. I think in relation to Dance for Parkinson's, you know, the evidence that we have gathered and through just observing people in the classes, you know, they come in. Sometimes our dancers are, you know, having a bad day, maybe they're finding their symptoms quite challenging. We try and leave the Parkinsons at the door, actually. When they come into the studio, it's about an artistic experience. They are dancers. I'm sure Colin will agree. He probably spends enough time going backwards and forwards for medical appointments. The whole point of being in the class is to have that artistic experience. And what we see over the course of the class is a fluidity of movement, participants developing their strength and mobility, balance improving. And from the first study we did, a lot of participants commented on how this continued into their everyday life beyond the studio. And another really important part of our classes is the music. So we have live music for every class that we deliver. We have a specialist team of associate dance artists and musicians, and everything is very tailored to the people who are in the room, because we really believe in that person-centered approach. So everyone that we have that interaction with, you know, we're dealing with everybody as individuals. And to Colin's point earlier about the classes being inclusive, someone might come in one week and feel they can stand and do a class fully standing. The next week they might be finding it challenging and need to sit or use a walking aid. But actually our classes are adaptable across the whole breadth of those needs of participants as well. And to be quite honest, whenever I go in on a Wednesday to the ones in East London, it's like a party is happening weekly in there. And I can guarantee Colin is normally at the centre of that as well.
Brilliant. Sorry, I'm just going to... there was an event which I was invited to attend. It's called Let's Dance with Parkinson's. And I believe, Colin, you were part of that as well. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, the good thing was we were treated as dancers. So there were other dance groups there. So there was a jazz group, there was an Afrobeats group, there was a young street group. You know, so there's all different ethnicities, all of us, all different communities were there. There was a group from the Stroke Association, and then there was us, who sort of shake a bit. And it was great. And the good thing about EMB is that they encourage you to consider yourself as dancers. So the Let's Dance programme with Angela Griffin, it's superb. Everyone should get involved. Whether you move, whether you dance, and it's excellent. And I'd like to say, Laura helped me, because I travelled there in public transport. And we had to get there early, and I got off the tube at Bank, and I froze, my body froze. I had a freezing episode, so I rang Laura up, and she came and physically helped me to get there. When I got there, feeling the warmth and the camaraderie and friendship of my group, within an hour I smashed it.
Brilliant.
And I was brilliant.
Oh, brilliant.
I do say so myself. My daughters were filming it, it was on breakfast, and they said, Dad, you're the one out of sync.
Oh, bless, but you was enjoying yourself, and that is the most important thing, that you was able to engage and be with people as well. It must have been nice to have that feeling where you were all pretty much on the same page, where, you know, if there was an issue, everyone understood and everyone kind of could, you know, work together and just support each other, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about being non-judgmental. I mean, since I've been diagnosed, I think I'm hopefully a better person, because I actually now listen. And I now take on things more. You may not believe that, because I'm always talking, but I do listen more. And one of my mates said it's one of the best things that's happened to you because you actually can now, you've got more empathy with people.
Yeah, I'm just going to, sorry, go on,
I was going
Shofa.
to ask about what do your family think, and you said about your daughters, because usually, people go, oh, it's dad dancing again, it's embarrassing. But I guess you covered that, and do your family dance with you? Or?
Yeah, but they do. I'm still daddy dancing and granddad dancing now, so I've got grandchildren as well. But dancing is about listening to something familiar and being creative. And the EMB project with Ariel Smith and Hannah Edwards, the choreographers who did a piece for us. Mm. So we have the costume, we're actually proper dance company.
And you're mentioning all these big Angela Rippon.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's very lovely, very elite.
It is. I'm just going to bring back Laura just to talk more about Let's Dance, how that came about.
Yeah, so, the event that Colin's referring to was the press launch for Let's Dance, which Angela Rippon very kindly invited us to. We've been in contact with Angela for a number of years now at English National Ballet, and she's obviously a big advocate for her dementia work as well. But she was really interested to work with our Dance for Parkinson's performance company, who we took to this wonderful press event. But following on from that, the idea was that on March the 2nd, on a national level, everybody would open their doors and do something that involved dancing, because what we know about dancing is that it's really good for bringing communities together, for celebrating, and for just really joining the dots. So what we decided to do, because we have such a big reach on Dance for Parkinson's, is that we would do a class in our production studio, the Holloway production studio in East London, and we would invite people, local community and people from our classes to come and join us in a sort of celebratory class. And as part of that, what we did was we also had a live Zoom on a huge projector screen, and we zoomed in all our classes around the country. So at one point, I think we had over 100 dancers all performing this lovely sequence together, which was inspired by one of our works called Playlist, which is actually shown at Sadler's Wells this week. And it's a really beautiful, fun, vibrant piece of work by a choreographer called William Forsyth. And the idea on the day was that actually everyone got to participate in a class. If you'd not come to EMB before, then you were able to come and see the facilities, try a class. On the day, over 50% of the people that attended were new to English National Ballet. So that's amazing for us, because we're very much about placemaking and very much about, serving our local community as well. And we did a full hour and a half in the studio. Everyone joined in, people dialed in from around the country. And then afterwards, as we always do, we had a big party and then had a lovely social aspect, because actually the social aspect of our classes is equally as important as the dancing. It's that moment where people can come together, they can talk, they can share a cup of tea and a biscuit, and actually we tag that into all of the activity that we deliver. But, Angela is a wonderful, wonderful person, and I think her ambition to bring so many together on that day is obviously something that we would highly advocate for as a dance company.
Brilliant. Thanks for explaining that. So, Colin, did you kind of have practice beforehand? How was that to actually prepare for the actual occasion?
So Let's Dance.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. We had about 6 sessions, and we were filmed, and we would go back and try to rehearse at home. But the reality is there's no pressure on, because you can just do what you can do.
Yeah. And,
I used to get really, if I'd come on the radio or something like this, I'd get really nervous. Now I just think, just get on with it, just do it. But there was great support, and the dress rehearsal, and what we had recently wasn't very good, but then we got it wrong.
Yeah.
Some of us got nervous, but we do rehearse.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's, like I said, like Laura was saying, it's a good chance to socialise, it's a good chance to meet, interact and talk to other people who are going through the same experience as yourselves. And there's a great support in that. And I
didn't get that, first of all. I used to think, what do I need socialising with, and so on. I almost thought it was patronising, but it's not. Because Parkinson's can be very isolating. You can just think to yourself, well, I just want to stay at home. And then when you've got that commonality of interest, because although we've got 40 different symptoms, we're all very different. And the social aspect of it is really important.
Yeah, it's really good to be able to engage with people. Shofa, do you want to?
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of conversation around men's mental well-being, and we also know about men's suicide rates and everything. And I guess dance isn't kind of industry where a lot of men kind of go to. But for yourself, how have you found, finding this new platform, and how do you go about explaining to men in particular that don't be shy, just
do it. Just do it. It's such fun.
Yeah.
Particularly there's music you listen to. I now listen to a lot of new music.
Okay.
There's a Jack Jones nick, Impossible War Baby. It's a real street song which we dance to.
Yeah.
I'd encourage everyone, not just men, whatever gender, however you identify. It's just a great thing to do.
Now, Colin, I'm obviously South Asian background, and I've grown up with a lot of Hindi and, if you want to call it, Bollywood music.
Yeah.
Do you do Afro beats, Bollywood, and Arab, different fusion?
Yeah, what we do, we'll look, and when we had the Let's Dance thing, there was different road music there. Right?
Love it.
Yeah, it's just great.
Love it.
To see, sort of Bollywood style dancing, to see different. I love it. Music's music.
And we know, Neandra is a heavy Jimi Hendrix fan.
Yeah.
So, one last question from me. Have you ever refused to wear a certain costume?
Ooh.
That's interesting.
Okay.
The short answer is no, but I'm wondering where that's coming
Hey.
Laura's excited now.
You just set me up.
Oh no, Laura's getting ideas now.
There is that thing about what's traditionally seen as ballet, what's traditionally seen as ballet. We want to break through that.
I think a flamenco dress, maybe with a boa.
I'll do that. I'll
Let's
definitely
go to
do
Laura.
that.
Yeah, let's go, Sora.
Yeah, I mean, they're very good, our dancers. We often put costume designers in and they do go along. What I would say is that English National Ballet, we are a classical dance company, but we have a lot of contemporary repertoire as well. And one of the beautiful things about using repertoire as the starting point for our classes, we do very intensive associate artist training and planning, where we look at the sort of starting point of the work that we're delivering and we pull it apart. So we often go off in very random directions on things, which then involves lots of different kinds of music. And that's the beauty of having live music, is that our artists can be responsive in the space as well. We've worked very heavily with Akram Khan, who is a classical Indian Kathak dancer, and we've had a lot of that fusion work as well, which has been amazing. So, I think our message really is that when people perceive ballet, swinging back to what Colin said at the beginning, it might be the perception of this elitist white art form. Actually what we're trying to do is really smash through those barriers. And I think when you look at the breadth and diversity of what we present and of our engagement programs, it really shows our commitment to that. And one other thing I would say on the men is that we actually, funnily enough, have more men on our program than we do women. And in the Dance for Parkinson's Performance Company specifically, we're 2/3 men, 1/3 women. So the men are kind of keeping it all together at the moment.
Oh, that's brilliant. I just wanted to ask, because how accessible is English National Ballet? Obviously, you do other things apart from Parkinson's. The reason why we're saying it is because today is World Parkinson's Day. But I also want to find out, for example, if someone is in the local community, someone is part of a grassroots organisation, how can they approach, how can they be a part of the English National Ballet?
Yeah, so we have lots of lovely information on our website, ballet.org.uk. We also have obviously lots of social media as well, through all the normal channels. Our programs, they run year round. As I said, we run 21 different engagement programs. We have a beautiful building on London City Island that I think sometimes people are a bit scared to come to because it involves crossing a bridge. But actually we are right outside Canning Town Tube Station. We're very easy to get to. There's a wonderful access film actually on our website, which gives you step-by-step instructions. We have a lovely cafe in the building as well, so people can just come down and have a cup of tea if they want to. But primarily through the engagement department, if there's a program you want to get involved in, then it's just to contact us directly. And as I said before, we have lots of programs. We work with lots of local schools. We have a full adult ballet class program that we run 3 evenings a week as well. We have a youth company. We have a program for young dancers dancers, which is specifically from young dancers from Newham and Tower Hamlets, called Ballet Club. That runs during the half terms and is a free programme. So we hope also helps those parents where childcare costs actually is very prohibitive. People can just, come and be part of that, sign up on our website. We run Dance for Dementia as well, another one of our creative health programmes. And we are actually registered as the only dance company in London to be a dementia-friendly building, and that's under the Mayor of London's charter. And we went through an extensive process to achieve that accreditation, but also means that anybody that comes to us, can be reassured if you're living with dementia that our staff will know, how to speak with you, how to work with you as well. So there's lots to offer, and we very much encourage people to come and say hi to us.
God, that's brilliant. That is. It's so good to hear that. If you are having difficulties, if you are with dementia, that you can call them up, I presume, and you can get support, and it's really good to know that. And also the fact that you do work with local schools, because as I said, I think it's really important that we get a communication going between organisations like the English National Ballet, who people kind of have an idea, like I said, it's always a bit elite. I'm not really a ballet, I'm not into Swan Lake. And, so the fact that you are able to adapt, and people like Colin can go along and feel like you can be a part of it. So how would you encourage people, Colin?
I would say, first of all, it's very enjoyable. If you may well have preconceived ideas of what you're meant to be a ballet dancer. You can wear a tutu, it has got all that notion, but it's adaptive. And it's just great fun. The thing I get out of it is I get great physical well-being from it and mental well-being. To dance and to take part in social activity, I'd encourage everyone to do it.
Regardless of the age, regardless of your ability as well.
Because it's something that you can do, and what they do at ENB is they adapt it. So there will be specific exercises, foot tapping for those in wheelchairs, there'll be hand movements, there'll be adapted exercises. And what they do is they look at the repertoire, whether it's full cycle, whether it's acrobat, whatever the dance may be, and then they'll adapt it for us. There's something for everyone.
That's brilliant.
And I find that really helpful, because sometimes I can't, although I'm moving today, sometimes I can't move.
Yeah.
I'll sit and watch it because that's how enjoyable it is.
That's brilliant. So what's been your highlight moment? Since you've been with the English National Ballet, what has been your, oh my God, yeah, that was a wow moment for me? What was that?
I think it's all the time, meeting the other dancers and being treated as a dancer. There's real professional people there, world-class facilities in Canning Town. And people, I'm part of a dance performance company.
Yeah, I like the fact that you're saying they're treating us like dancers. I like that, because it makes you feel like you really are part of it. Yeah. And just because you haven't studied or you don't have degrees or anything like that, you'll come into the space and you'll still feel like you're part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like being here today. You feel that you're adding something. And I want to. Sorry.
I know people are listening in, our audience, but we're in the room with Colin, and there is an energy. I can tell you, just so vibrant and so positive.
That's amazing.
And, it's really, you can actually feel it. And I think another name you've just got, Laura, is Akram Khan.
Oh, yes.
World-renowned dancer, and he's actually from Bangladeshi heritage as well. So these are world-class artists.
That's
so
amazing.
I'm just incredibly impressed.
Brilliant.
And I can't believe it's happening in Newham and Tower Hamlets, and
it's amazing,
accessible to everybody.
Brilliant, cool. We're just coming to the end of the show. Laura, do you just want to kind of have any last thoughts, any last sayings? Just before
I just want to say that I think we don't dumb things down. We challenge people. We want to push their artistic voice. That's really important. So if you have no dance experience or you have lots, if you come to us, you'll be challenged, but in a really positive, person-centered manner. And I would just say to people, be open-minded, because some people might think ballet isn't for them. But what we do know is that most people who come through our doors tend to stay with us and continue that relationship with us. So, we're here, we're in Canning Town, we're on London City Island. Come and visit us, and maybe you'll get some of Colin's energy as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to Revive FM. Thank you, Colin, for coming in. Thank you to our earlier guest from Captain CFC. As I said, welcome. and goodbyes. That was just kind of very random. Thank you, Shofa, our co-host. I'm Neandra from New Voices, and you are listening to Community Chat on Revive FM 94.0. Yay! Thank you. Thank you so much.